Etsy, please let me be on your board of directors. I have a love-hate relationship with Etsy. I just despise the way the company is run and how they treat their sellers. I cannot imagine doing business that way, where they've just made so many tweaks and they put so much into marketing and who knows what else, but not into customer service and taking care of their sellers. It drives me crazy. On the other side of that coin is that it's such a wonderful platform for small business people, for artists and craftsmen, men's and women's. You know, it really truly is a great platform for people like you and people like me. If we make things or paint things or woodwork things or whatever, to get them across the country, to sew things. So it definitely opens up our customer base, and that's amazing. But the struggles that you can have with Etsy is very unamazing. Anyway, I'm Casey. I'm glad to be back with you guys. It's been a busy week, and I was just determined by the end of this week that I was going to get a video made. It has been, so busy. We have shipped, oh my gosh, 14 pieces of furniture this week. The shippers came and picked it up, and it went, Louis, my husband, was there with them till 10:30 last night. Bless his heart. He had started work at 7:30 in the morning yesterday, and it's just been a busy week. So I'm a little behind on the video stuff, but I cannot wait to dive in. I've got my laptop set up, and I'm going to go through some of y'all's questions. And first, I'm going to take just a moment. Let me pull it up, and I'm going to show you, because I like real, I'm sorry, all my fingernails are a mess. Look at that. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. I just realized that, and I'm not going to start over because of that. I'm pulling up on my computer. I like when somebody says, like, you can make this much money, you could do this or that. I kind of like, you know, like, show me some real numbers. I'm not kind of like that. I am like that. Also, I have some mail here because there is a fly, you might have noticed, flying around, and he's going to get it one of these days. So anyway, so this is why I show numbers. Like, nobody's impressed with how much I make. You guys just truly do not care, except for the fact of what's possible for you, right? I mean, that's what we all do. You're not impressed by how much I may make selling furniture, except for, but what can you do? And that's how it should be. That's real. That's how I think, like, how does that apply to me, or how can it apply to me? So I'm going to pull this up for you really quick. Let's just go ahead and look at it right here. I have it on my laptop screen. So this was, I pulled this stat up today on Etsy, and for the last, no, for this month is $10,000. So that is for the month of July. I did have a refund. It was more than that, but I refunded a lady for an armoire because she purchased one that was custom order only, meaning I have to find it and curate it and paint it, and she wanted something quicker, so we refunded that. So it was higher, and it went down 10,000. But you know what? I'm really happy with that. Like, I have higher goals, and I think the highest month I've had in Etsy is $22,000. And that was last year. Like, earlier this year, in the spring, my shop got shut down. So just about 2 months ago, I started a new one. So for having a $10,000 month with no reviews, just getting a new shop off the ground, I'm pretty happy with that. And I was off work for 2 months with a leg injury. And so I fell down on my driveway and cut my knee to the bone. My knee fell on a broken asphalt ridge, and it just cut it to the bone. Had It was awful. But anyway, so I was off work for 2 months. So there was less furniture up for sale. So all that considered, really just in the past like 3 or 4 weeks, I've come back to work. So I'm behind on the amount of inventory that I normally would have available. So all that being considered, I'm pretty happy that with a $10,000 month. That's in sales. That's not in profit. So your profit would be after your inventory, after your shipping, that type of situation. You look at some of my other videos where I've gone through that. So I'm going to get right into your questions. And on these questions, I'm not even sure it's a question. It's a comment. And it's from Case. And Case Maynard. And she had said, let me see if I can pull up the whole thing, because this is, if you guys will just bear with me for a moment, give me one moment. Okay, it took me a minute to find it, but Case says this is unbelievable, not sure what's going on with Etsy. So she has Case and I, we follow each other's pages. She makes beautiful furniture, paints beautiful furniture, redesigns it. Not sure what's going on with Etsy. This is her words, but I'm in a comment on a YouTube video, but I'm ready to bail ASAP. My shop didn't get shut down, but out of nowhere with no explanation, after 2 years and a 5-star rating with no bad reviews, they imposed a reserve on any sales they make. They now allow me to reap 25% of my sales, and they hold the rest for 45 days, unless I can provide a tracking number, which I can't with transporting furniture. Oh my gosh. So just about a week ago, Etsy had, let's do it this way, okay? Let me tell this story. A week ago, you could say, Etsy there was a person that I know who had an account with Etsy, and it was a fairly new account. So they were not a 5-star seller because they were pretty new. And when they started selling big items that cost several $1,000s, Etsy started holding back of these several $1,000s, like most of the money. And there were notes that were popping up from Etsy saying, notices, whatever you want to call it, that they were going to hold the money, which equated to, at one point, close to $18,000 in sales. They were going to hold the money in reserve for, at one point, I think they had said it's 45 days. Another point says 90 days until a tracking number could be provided. So you guys may or may not know, some of you who sell and ship furniture through Etsy or big ship furniture anywhere, know that you do not get a tracking number when you ship furniture. I have watched other videos from Etsy sellers talking about this new reserve thing that they are doing. That's why I said at the beginning of the video, let me be on your board of directors, Etsy. You're ridiculous. Please let me come on there. Please, I just nominate myself. Anyway, or somebody who would get some shit done. I'm sorry. I don't normally do it, but it just truly needs to be said. So anyway, lots of money was held from an Etsy seller's account. And this Etsy seller had actually reached out to Etsy, was actually, I don't know how, able to talk to some foreign person who didn't speak English hardly at all, and that person kept saying, just use verified tracking number, just use verified tracking number. So with no help whatsoever, going to YouTube, watching all the videos from people who sell small things like art and little things where you can ship UPS or FedEx or USPS and you can get tracking numbers, but not applicable. And these people would say, if you don't want your money in reserve, you want to get it out, just ship with a tracking number. No, that does not apply to all Etsy sellers. That applies to people who are not selling 450-pound dressers, 600-pound armoires, 8-foot tall cabinets, right? UPS is not picking that up. There's no way. Nobody with a tracking number is picking that up. So how do you get around that? Because you got to get paid for your items. You have to ship your furniture. That's going to cost you money. You can't ship your furniture until you get paid for your stuff. And you need your cash flow coming in from sales that you made. The Etsy is holding on to it. And all you need to get it is a tracking number. So one might take a little thank you card. This is an old card that I use for a bookmark in my fancy cookbook that I just really love. One might, after they get an order for a few $1,000s or a few $100s for something that they could not get a tracking order for, a tracking number for, could actually write out a thank you card, and they could print out or even just handwrite an order confirmation. Dear customer, thank you so much for your order. Your order is expected to be ready for shipping XYZ time frame, and I will be reaching out to shipper soon, and I will let you know. You will receive, a notification that there's a tracking number that when your order will arrive. That tracking number is for the confirmation card. I will be in touch with you via Etsy messaging or by phone, because you should always have their phone number if you need it to ship. Warmest regards, your Etsy seller, fill in your name. So somebody that I know very, very, very well, who has a new Etsy shop, sat down and filled out about 5 or 6 thank you cards. And then that person went, because Etsy was holding 5 or 6 funds for 5 or 6 orders. It came to several $1,000s. And so the seller went to USPS with these cards and actually printed on Etsy. An Etsy label says, it's just for 4 inches by 3 inches by 1 inch, and printed that Etsy label, taped it to the card, took it to her local post office, handed it to him, and she had a tracking number, a valid tracking number. And as soon as the post office checked it in, the Etsy released the funds. The person had completed the order on Etsy. If you've been a seller on Etsy, you know what that means. You have to complete an order, mark it, ship. That's when you print your label. You only print labels for little things you're shipping. You can't print labels for furniture. And so anyway, that's an option. I don't know if that's against their rules or not, but when they make it so hard to get your money, that's your money that belongs to you, and you need it to take care of your customers, then yes, that's what somebody I know did, and it worked very well, and that's the system that person is using. Will that get you shut down or not? I don't know, but frankly, you have to get paid. I know there's people that they do pick up only, people have to drive to their place and pick up their stuff. If you're doing custom orders, you're not going to have, in furniture of any kind, you're not going to have tracking numbers. So you have to have a way to get around it. It's working so far for this person. Also want to say, if you're opening up a brand new Etsy shop, so apparently they're not supposed to hold your funds when you reach star seller, after you've had so many sales stuff like that. Well, then they're not supposed to hold your funds, and you could do business as normal, which is the ideal thing that you would want. So if you were a new, because Etsy does encourage you to sell to friends and family members, and they have links that says share this on social media with your friends and family members. So ideally, you could create a downloadable and inexpensive downloadable, if you like to create like a how to chalk paint furniture and maybe sell it for whatever you wanted to. I mean, you could create a basic one for $10 and list it as a digital product on Etsy. And maybe some of your friends and family members would love to support your shop and would love to buy that. Maybe you could, if you're a photographer, or if you're a painter, that you could offer an inexpensive print. And people who would love to support your business, who you know, could buy some of those inexpensive prints. And so just to support your shop. And so anyway, I do believe like you can't buy your own stuff. I don't know how all that goes. You feel free to do it. But I do know that some of my family members, when they saw some inexpensive prints on my shop, like my mom, my daughter, they're like, oh, we want to buy a print. And they were supporting my shop because they knew it was brand new and I'm trying to get off of my feet. So when you get to a certain amount of sales, that will lead to you being able to be a star seller if you respond regularly to customers, if you ship your items on time, if you have tracking numbers. So there's things you can do. And while I dislike their how they're doing that, I do believe it seems like there's supposed to be a time where you can move past that and not have your funds withheld. But my husband said, who works for one of the biggest, if not the biggest tech company in the world, said that it just seems like Etsy has made so many, look at that fly, he's going to get it, has made so many tweaks. They've just like are messing things up so badly because they, excuse me, have made so many tweaks. So I wanted to address that. I feel like I was a little bit windy and I'm sorry, but it's a big deal. Basically, if you want to decide, you could go mail a thank you card to your customer, get a tracking number for it, and just let your customer know, I'm mailing you a confirmation card, and that's what the tracking number is for. It'll be shipped out soon. Working on it, keep you updated. My friends, customers, been very happy with that. So all that to say, there is a way. There's always a way, and I think it's like about the most ethical, solution-minded thing you could do in that type of situation. So, and I've heard some people say, oh, they have a right to do it because they have a right in all of their, their fine print of how they do, that you agree to. They might have a right to do it, but I have a right to go in a grocery store and just be super crappy with somebody. But just because you have a right to do something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Okay, I am going to answer some of your comments. And so MDHHTHH 8593 says, and this is in response to the AI furniture app, which is amazing, and which is Photo Room. Wow, I have been wishing and searching for an app like this for a few years. Thank you so much for sharing. This is huge. It's huge to me too. I have a really big shop, but it is filled and it is so hard to keep a good staging area. It's just filled with stuff, and so it's really huge to me too. Okay, so thank you for leaving that comment. And then screw you too. Well, it's not something you normally that normally comes out of my mouth. Says, how in the world do you calculate shipping? First of all, I want to say, like, when it comes to shipping, I have lots of videos, or at least a few, that really go into in-depth, in-depth on shipping and how I calculate it. But in a nutshell, I have just learned over time and what it takes. You could go to UShip. If you're going to ship a dresser, you could put in the average dresser weighs around 300 pounds, give or take. That's a real good weight to put in for a dresser. 350 for an armoire, 400, something like that. But anyway, in UShip, how I started, you can Google average weights of furniture. But I'm just telling you, a dresser you could put in 250, 300 pounds. Shippers don't show up and weigh your stuff. It never, ever happens. They always know you're estimating. And so UShip will give you an estimate of how much it will cost to go from A to B. I always factor in my shipping into my listing price. And so I don't know who's going to buy it or where it's going to go. So I factor it in that it's going to go as far away from me as it possibly can. And I pretty much learned that all my stuff, 90% of the time anyway, 90% of the time, will go to East Coast or West Coast or sometime deep South. Like I'm in Missouri, it never goes to like Kentucky. One time I had something go to Tennessee and we drove it there because it wasn't far. So it goes all the way to one side of the country or the other. And I know by now it's going to cost me $700 or $800, maybe give or take, depending on what it is, to ship one armoire to East or West or South. Sometimes I've had some breaks and it's been $500-600. It just depends on the shipper, the route, what all they're carrying, the dimensions. But go look at some of the other videos on shipping. There's so much more detail on there. I think it'll be really helpful for you. Thank you, screw you too. Crazy, very creative name you got there. Wouldn't that be funny if you put like Etsy at the end of that? So I'm just kidding. Okay, Kathleen May, I responded to you. You said, so happy. You saw me in my feed. You used to love watching videos. I'm back. I don't mind if you do 2 or 3 things at a time. That's when I was chopping a salad doing a video. And now I did respond to your comment, but I overlooked this question, and that is your brick and mortar still open? It is still open. We're really only open Fridays and Saturdays, but we're there throughout the week working, and we have a doors open, stores open kind of policy. So thank you for just your kind words. That was really sweet. And definitely get in touch. You can message me through my Facebook page, Paint with Casey, like whenever you come to this area. I'd be happy to give you a tour of my shop. And that goes for anybody else. Would love to meet you guys. SK Refurbished Interiors says, thanks for the inspiration. I do have an Etsy account, but scared to list. I guess I worry too much about reliable and trustworthy delivery. But I'm laughing just because I did too. But my goal tomorrow is to list at least 1 furniture. That's what I'm talking about. People are like, how do I get started? How do I get started? You get started by listing a piece of furniture. I'm so sweet. List something. Like she's asking, good job. What did you list? That's awesome. She's like, I'm going to list something tomorrow. That's what you do. You list something and then another and then another. Oh, awesome. Way to go. Okay, Javon Player. Casey, I'm trying to find the time to start my woodworking business. Amen, Javon, right? That's one of our biggest hurdles for so many people is finding the time. When we have a small business, it is finding the time. You said, and your advice is very helpful. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I have just adored your comments, so I really appreciate you. Okay, finding the time. Like, if we're going to look at this, like you said, woodworking business. So act like this is a second job you go to and create a schedule for you. If you have 2 jobs, this is your second job, but you're the boss. And say, okay, my second job, I go to work on Thursdays from 6 to 8:30, and then Saturdays from 9 to 2. Just create your schedule for your second job, like you're going to a second job, and then do that. It's just like SK said. Tomorrow, I'm going to list one piece of furniture. Thursday evening, I'm going to work, whatever day works for you. This is my second job. See, when we make the shift from looking at something as a hobby, not as a hobby, like we make the shift from a hobby to a job, to a business, to a career, then things become less negotiable. Like, if this is a job, then it's not negotiable whether you show up. You have to show up for a job. So if you look at it like that, I got to show up. This is a job. And that's my business. And so, yes, I believe you can do it. Thank you so much for the comment. And Paula West 6556, how do you get your furniture? Do you travel around looking for it or advertise? Thank you. I love your stuff. Oh, Paula, it's so sweet. Thank you. I get furniture off Marketplace about 3 times a year. My husband and I will take 2 to 3 times a year. We will take trips so I live southern Missouri. We'll take trips that are up to 10 hours away, anywhere from 5 to 10 hours. We'll spend a couple of nights somewhere. We've gone to Fort Worth. We've gone to Tennessee. We've gone to Oklahoma. We've gone to Little Rock. And all of those places, we've been able to find great stuff. I also get things from estate sales. That's probably the lowest place where I get things is from estate sales. Maybe like 3 pieces a year from estate sales. I do get them there, but Facebook Marketplace locally. And a big part is when my shippers are delivering in a certain area, I will shop in the areas where they're delivering, and I will pay the fees for them to bring something back to me. I paid $500 for them to bring me a piece of furniture that cost me $200, and that I bought on, let's say I bought a bedroom set in New York, a gold bedroom set for $900, and my shipper charged me $600 to bring it to me. He was also bringing me 2 or 3 other things, and I was paying him $300 for each item he was bringing me past the bedroom set. So I paid $600 for shipping to have this shipped to me. It cost $900, so it's $1,500, and I sold it. It's actually just shipped out yesterday. Sold it for $10,000. And I didn't even paint it. All we did was clean it up really, really well. I mean, it was an amazing set. Put gold detail on it. Did a couple of minor repairs. And so, but I've bought cool armoires and hutches and stuff in East Coast, West Coast, South, just wherever. I'll look wherever my shippers are going, and I will shop in that area. I mean, logistically, it's a lot of work, except for painting and talking to customers. Like, I bet you I put in as much work looking for the right furniture as I do refinishing furniture. I do. It's kind of like Abe Lincoln says, if you spend so much amount of time, like however many hours, like sharpening your axe, and then, 30 minutes cut the wood or something like that, like putting in that time. People always tell me, I don't have anything like that in my area. And then I go and look in their area and I see some amazing pieces that would work within a couple of hours. You put in the effort and the time, and like you start building relationships with shippers and networking and people and tipping them and packing your stuff where they want to work with you and treating them well. And yeah, it pays off. I mean, it does. And you're doing business in a good, upright way where you're treating people well too. So hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching, Paula. And Jojo Cutler 6923. Hi, Casey. Your information is so helpful. I have an Etsy account just started. No clue what I'm doing. I get it. I feel like I do pretty good work, but as far as sales and knowing how to market, I have no earthly idea. On that, I want to say, for anybody who's like, I don't know what to do, if you're brand new to starting an Etsy account, or if your Etsy account has been struggling, if it's been struggling, I would encourage you to go look at, to anybody on Etsy that is selling things that are same or similar to what you're selling. If you sell furniture, painted furniture, go look at other people that sell painted furniture. Look at their descriptions, look at their pricing, look at what words they're using, and do this at people who actually have a good amount of sales. You know, don't look at brand new people, but more established accounts. And then read the reviews. I have learned so much reading people's reviews. Just so much stuff. I read, a couple of, because, you know, like there's furniture supplies companies, like they have like scented waxes and stuff. And I've read in a few reviews, people are really upset when their dressers arrived or nightstands arrived and the scented wax was in it. Like it bothered them so much, like they're sensitive to smells. And the seller and the furniture artist thought they were just doing something sweet for the customer, and the customer did not like that. So from that, you could gain, you know, like non-scented, you know, sealed with non-scented wax. You can know not to do that. You just learn all of these things. And so from customers, from your market, and all of that is called market and product research. And so you could also, when you see, as you're looking through Etsy, all you can see how much, like on somebody's account, if it says, you know, these people, if it has a dresser, 20 people have this in the cart. Wow. I mean, that's a hot item. So you start looking at items that are hot, that people are having in their carts and that type of thing. That's good product research. Pay attention to listing descriptions and of people's accounts who are doing well. Their shipping policies, who are doing things well. Okay, Jameson says, my wife has been flipping and restoring furniture for a full year. That's awesome. Unfortunately, we're West Coast, and out of the 400 plus pieces we've sold, 2 have been sold via UShip on Etsy, and shipping damn near anywhere is $400, $2,000 East Coast. When you list on Etsy, do you charge shipping or include total listed price? Do you only use UShip, or is there others? When shipping, do you pad wrap all items, or is that for buyers to decide? How long do painted pieces sit for you? So I told you just a little bit ago, y'all, that most times things for me cost $700-800. Sometimes I'll figure $850-900 if the item is great big, or if there's a couple pieces to go to East or West Coast. And I have a geographical benefit because I'm in the middle of the United States here in Missouri, so the furthest I can ship something away is halfway across country. But if you're in California or Maryland or Florida, North Carolina, your shipping, the furthest, can be all the way across country. So just to address that, okay, $400 to $2,000. Yeah, I mean, that's a big range. I would expect something if you lived in California or North Carolina, something like, then you're going to ship it all the way to the other side of the country. I would expect it to cost you $1,500-1,600, maybe even a little more, maybe $1,500-1,600. I really would. And so I guess I would look at, am I selling, refinishing things that can carry a high price point that shipping would, I could build in a $1,500-1,600 shipping fee and still make a profit. And by that, if you're, not that you're doing this furniture, but I feel like armoires, cabinets, bigger pieces of furniture, maybe doing sets of pieces. So like a dresser, mirror, 2 nightstands. Like if you're doing sets, like that might help you, because you're going to be able to make more money, but it's all going to the same place, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is, there's not most nightstands or buffets, or they're not going to carry enough profit, and you can't put enough of a price in there where shipping is going to be $1,500, and then you still have like to pay yourself and the inventory costs and stuff. But I've sold some armoires for $5,000 to $6,000, and not just one or two, but I mean several over the past 3 years, that if it cost me $1,500, $1,600 to ship, I mean, I still have, and it cost me $400 for the armoire, $500, I still have plenty of room for having like a good profit in that. And real quick, I'm going to say on profit, I'm not embarrassed about making a profit. People are like, oh, do you worry about like if one of your customers were to see how much you make off? I'm not worried about that. Like, I work at this so hard, figuring out the logistics, networking, creating, partnering to get repairs done, doing all the shipping logistics, years of like artisan practice and making things over and creating one of a kind pieces, and then all of the many hours that goes into finding the perfect pieces, like unique and rare pieces, and curating them and picking those up and getting them to me. I don't mind making a profit, and then let alone having a shop overhead. I have an accountant, have a website, I have, there's a lot. And so, nope, I don't mind whatsoever. Like, never be afraid of putting a good price on there. Like, start thinking that way, and that's moving more from hobby to business too. Do you charge, so this is from Jameson, shipping or include it in total listed price? Jameson, I used to, my old shop that was shut down, Mountain Cove Market, which Mountain Cove Market is also my business on Facebook page and my blog on Facebook page, where I talk about this type of stuff a lot, is Paint with Casey. So I have two. But my old Etsy shop, I did free shipping, and I did really, really well. When I started this new shop, Casey Alvarez Art, on Etsy, I thought, let me just play around a little bit and not charge free shipping. And it didn't work so well. I didn't feel like I was getting good enough traction. Like, people are messaging me like, oh my gosh, can't believe shipping is so much. I'm like, okay. So I started slowly taking away like where shipping was $500 or $600, and just building it into the price and raising the price and saying it's free shipping, and people started buying. It's just, it's not the best for the customer because they pay tax on that, but they wouldn't pay tax on the shipping part. So they're paying tax on $500, $600 that they wouldn't pay tax on if that price was under shipping and not like into the whole listing price. But they just don't, they're not as apt to buy in my experience. They buy better when it's free shipping. And also, you know how when you go to buy on Amazon, you type in like Amazon Prime, like that option, because you want something real quick. When people go shop on Etsy, they can check a box as just free shipping, just show me things free shipping. And so that's what they'll see most often. So that's what I do. I'm going back towards free shipping, but it's never free, right? You're going to pay for it somehow. You just build it into your price. You estimate. And if I lived in California, that's easy for me to say because I'm in Missouri in the middle. If I lived in California, I would do free shipping. And then I would put that shipping is free up from 600 miles from wherever you live. And after that, the person can contact you for a quote, what the overage may be beyond that. So then they may have to pay $500 or $600 or more, and they get to decide. But there's a lot of Etsy sellers that sell furniture that do that. I know some that live in New Jersey, and they're like, shipping is free, for 500 miles. After that range, please contact me for delivery. So it still gives you a good base. You may even say shipping is free for 800 miles, but you're not doing 3,000 miles across the country. So there's a difference. So That's what I would do if I lived East or West Coast or Deep South or Northwest or something like that. And then do I only use UShip or do I use others? I used UShip for quite a while, and now I use private shippers. Eagle Shipping on Facebook, that's James, and I like Rich Logistics. Rich doesn't usually go to the West Coast, James does. So Eagle Shipping, Rich Logistics. Rich is on Instagram and on Facebook as well, and they're both great. When shipping, do you pad wrap all items, or is that for the buyer to decide? No, so my shipper Rich tells us that whenever he shows up, I put his, I'm not going to do it on YouTube, but you can contact me on Facebook, and if I have time, I'll respond. I may not respond to everybody, but you just look his page up, Rich Logistics. He tells us that anytime he goes anywhere, pick up furniture, artist stuff, or anything, we are the only people that wrap, and we pad wrap everything. I mean, we wrapped for hours and hours and hours yesterday with 14 pieces going out, and 110 degree weather. And so it's not fun. It's part of the business. And honestly, we do that because we strive to work at our business as though we're working for the Lord. I know I don't like preaching at people, but it's who we want to be. We want to be people that we're just gonna, whatever we do, we want to do it with all of our hearts as though working for the Lord, to honor him, to honor our customers. And so I will say that I've seen shippers come and they're picking up some of our stuff and other people's furniture, it's got a little bit of some scratches on it, or the tape is wrapped around a blanket, but it's also on the furniture that shippers have done, or even the people themselves just throwing a blanket over it. It just, shippers are moving wood pieces, wood furniture in and out and in and out. That all it takes is for something just to go, like an edge of a dresser or nightstand or anything up against one of your pieces, scrape it up. If you have it shrink wrap, bubble wrap, blanket wrap, shrink wrap again, I mean, basically you're just ensuring that you can't prevent every single scenario there is, but you're taking every step you can to ensure it gets there safely. And I believe that's the right thing to do by your customer. And if you want to get your blankets back, just tell your shipper when it picks up, say, hey, I'll have 4 blankets going out or 6 blankets going out, and they'll trade them out for you. We haven't met one who won't trade it out for you. And so those were really good questions. I want to go back, and I think I answered them all. I hope this was helpful. Ask me some more questions. I'm not an expert, but I have been doing this for a while. It's nice to make $10,000 in selling furniture in, 30 days, where, I've had $16,000 months, 20, 22, more, 10,000, 8,000, 11,000. I mean, so it's not like, the rest of the time it's crickets. It can be real steady income. So I have some bonus content if anybody wants to listen to a story where I had to put my foot down with a customer. And so that is coming up next, and I'll just share that story while you can watch me paint a little bit on the armoire, and I'll talk to you later. Don't forget, if this has been helpful for you, just please think about liking and subscribing so you can keep up with all the other things that will be coming very soon. If you stayed around this long, thank you so much. This is where things really get interesting. I know this has been a long video, and this is the furniture that we've shipped out, which you've seen. These are some of the places that the furniture has gone to, from New Jersey to 2 different places in Georgia to Florida. And now I'm working on this armoire. This is I love detail. I love doing things that's a little bit different. And you can see on this armoire, I'm doing something that's a little bit different. And I have to tell you, if you're struggling on Etsy or if you're just getting started, I don't think that you want to 100% mimic somebody else, or even 70-80% mimic what somebody else is doing. You have to find a way to set yourself apart. You have to find your style, your niche. And to be able to do that, I believe that you have to overcome fear that you're going to make mistakes, fear that it's not going to work out, fear that you're going to mess up, fear that nobody is going to want it. I will never forget the time that I painted this really extravagant, enormous walnut French wedding armoire, and I had been painting all of my French wedding armoires in like blues and golds and greens and a couple in pinks and greens, and I really wanted to do something different, and so I thought outside the box. I did it all in a very tropical green and gold, and I hand painted very loose florals all over it. I even painted like a toucan on it and some ferns, and not in the greatest artistic style, but in something very loose. And I put it on Etsy, and there were no takers for many months, but it ended up selling for almost $4,000 and going to Las Vegas. It doesn't matter if you like farmhouse, if you like, fill in the blank, European farmhouse, French country, very eclectic, boho. I will say, I do believe a lot of like the beiges, all of that is very saturated in this market. But you have to find your niche. Maybe you like doing florals on furniture. Maybe you like doing transfers. But look at what is already saturated and stay away from that. Find your own style, your own unique thing, and then begin taking steps to learn how to market it. What are you putting in your product descriptions that is letting customers know why your piece stands out, while this stands out? Is it functional art? Does it have great storage space? What are the exact colors in it in case they can't tell on their device? Like, you just let them know. Imagine if you were describing your piece to a blind person. Like, that's what you have to do, because you're their hands on it and you're their eyes on it. Thanks a lot for coming along with me, and let's catch up soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.